Hey guys, we're shooting the Advent calendar in the vault because it felt right. Now, a couple notes to start this whole thing. One, I'm shooting this all by myself with the camera set up, and I'm doing my own audio. So if there's anything wrong with video and audio settings, you can blame me. Mike, the video editor, just had to deal with whatever I gave him. Now, this is the Master of Malt Whisky Advent Calendar that we are working with. I discovered something, which was, or I didn't. I asked someone to double check this box because I wanted to go in blind, and they discovered that the names were written on all of the bottles, which is, not surprising. It's one of the reasons I had them check. And so they went in and they wrote the name of what I'm actually drinking and then put a sticker over the bottle so that I could go in blind. So, welcome to day one of the Whiskey Advent. Every one of these videos is going to be named just Whiskey Advent Calendar Day 1 until we're totally finished, and then I'll go back and change the names and the titles to the whiskeys they are, because I don't want to give it away for anybody at whatever point they're able to join over the next 25 days. Not great for YouTube algorithms, but better for the experience. So that you can see, here you go, if you open it up, what I love about this is that they're little slide-out boxes instead of those bullshit punch holes that are always like tearing my finger apart. So is this one? Top left? Yep. All right. This is one, Whiskey Advent Day 1. What I'm going to be doing, I'm going to keep the box over here. Boop. What I'm going to be doing is, as you can see, there is a sticker over the bottle here, and I have no idea what that is. And then in here, there's a little piece of paper folded up that'll tell me what it is. But I'm going to try to go in blind, and I'm going to take notes. So this might not be the most high energy. This is definitely Nerdville. But look, anybody who's signed up for a Whiskey Advent Calendar and is following along with these videos, we're all nerds, let's be honest. So feel free to fast forward if you get bored. But I'm going to show you what I do when I do blind analyzing of whiskey. Now, when you're studying, the goal of blind analyzing is not really to get it right or to just immediately guess what you're drinking. The goal of blind assessment on your own, when you're just exploring and developing your palate, is to learn your markers, your signposts, to learn your own ways that you identify things. And so because of that, the best thing that you can possibly do is develop your own system for taking notes, and then for as long as possible, try to not come to a conclusion on what you're drinking. Simply experience it and ask your brain yes or no, and then just write things down. And if you know more about production, I'll tell you one of the things that taught me more about tasting than anything on the planet was learning about whiskey production. You wouldn't think so, but getting to try and smell fermentations and distillation cuts and all these different parts of the process and the raw grain, it shows you how things end up in the glass, and it made me better than anything. I am using the Scottish whiskey tasting wheel that I think is Charles McLean that maybe did this one? Anyway, I turned it into writing instead of a wheel because the wheel is hard to read for me, and so I just transposed it onto my own little sheets. And I use those as a quick reference to remind my brain of things I might be forgetting, or like, oh, don't forget about that note. What is that note? And then I go in nose. I tend to write nose, palate, and then finish. And I don't really mess with color a lot in Scotch because you really never know. But here we go. These videos I feel like are going to be longer than I thought they would be. Uh-oh, that's a bad sign. The little thing that please be a screw top. Yes! All right, so you can do a screw top and it will just crack the wax for you. All right, these are 1 ounce samples. So first, light color could or could not mean anything. You never know. So nose first. Ooh. Immediately my nose is going into meaty direction. A little fainty, a little peaty, the heavier, a little tangy. Okay, so again, as long as possible, I'm going to try not to come to a conclusion. So on my nose, I am going to say a little bit of like peat smoke, but real distant and low. I have my own little like shorthand that I write notes on how to shape things down here. I'll show them to you, but they may not make sense to you. And like I use hieroglyphics. I don't know if you're going to be able to even see that, but I use little random hieroglyphics that tell me low X and where it lands in the nose. But it's just for me. It won't make sense to anyone else. I could see seashells, that sort of chalky, briny direction. But now that I'm sitting with it, fruit is starting to come forward. So I'm going to say it's sort of a light pear, fresh fruits, almost zesty. Pear peach. Maybe like a light apple. No, apple's the wrong word. I'm just going to say zest because it's something that's not quite citrus, but it's not quite fruit. And then not a lot of floral, although I could say it's grainy. So like in the wheel, they call that cereal. And there is cereal in here, like, but not cooked. It's like malty. So in my brain, I think this is all, but it just says whiskey, so it may not all be Scotch. But this smells like barley to me. So I'm going to say, actually maybe a little yeasty even, like a hint of that bitter Marmite kind of, and then maybe just barley. What I prescribe as a barley new make nose. And so we're going to try on the palate. Oh, there's the smoke. Oh, but it's not ashy. But it is smoky. So I'm going to say on the palate, it spreads wide and goes in as smoked tea and salt water. But it's not like, okay, well, I'll come to conclusions at the end. So, and then on the finish, it lingers dry, sweet smoke, but soft. Covers the whole palate in the mid and sort of creeps into the back and then stays in the front tip of my tongue. Okay, so that's kind of fun. This should be the longer version, and then I'm going to pull out my, well, actually I won't pull out my phone. I'll look at the distillery, and then my phone's recording audio, so I don't know how to look things up. We're just going to discover it together, and then here's what we're going to do. In the comments, we will talk about, what we experienced together a little bit, and I'll sort of interact with that one. How about that? And then we'll reveal. So my conclusion is right now that I think I'm doing single malt Scotch because it's round and hefty. There's not a lot of what I look for in a blend is that column still sharpness that tends to come through from the higher distilled spirit. I'm not getting any of that. It's soft, it's round, it's buttery, even though it's smoky. To me, this is not an Islay. And I know that I said smoky, but like to all the Islas that I have a grid for in my head, there's a specific kind of smoky in the nose that's not quite here. And then I don't think it's Highland Scotch because there's a specific kind of smoky Highland that I get that's way more like fire and earthy and woodsy. And this one, if the nose was way more smoky, the palate would lead me to think this is in the direction of an Islay. But because I get this combination of a palate being really rich and kind of ashy, but now it's fruit and sweety, and then the nose is soft and barley and zest and peach pear, but also kind of smoky. I think we're getting an island smoke. Oh, I don't know if I want to guess. It's really embarrassing to guess on the internet, because if you're wrong forever. So what I'm going to write as my conclusion is single malt, island Scotch. If I had to guess the age range, God, that's really hard. I don't think there's a lot of wine in this. I think there might be a little bit of wine cask in this, but I think it's mostly bourbon cask, if I had to guess. So I'm going to say Islay mostly bourbon cask. It's very fruity, though. It reminds me of Talisker. Oh, God. I'm on record now. But here's the thing. Master of Malt regularly, in these things, in my experience, historically, introduced you to some cool new up-and-comers. And now we've got, like, all kinds of other... It's not Aaron. It doesn't have that apple note that I'm always looking for in Aaron. But it could be one of the many Ardnam McMurrin or, you know, there's a bunch of small island distilleries that are starting up right now. It could be any of those, and I would have no idea. I think this is in the 8 to 11, 12 range, just from the palate and the softness. But we're going to find out. So where's my box? Oh, thank God. It's Talisker Special Release 2023. I don't even know what that means. I really wish I'd had another device I could have brought over here that I could Google this stuff. What would I compare it to? We'll do that instead. So all I know right now is and I'm not going to try to Google information on Talisker, but Talisker is Isle of Skye. It is an island single malt Scotch. It's their special release for 2023, which I don't even know what that means. I do not have it on the floor, but what I do have is Talisker 10. Ooh, and it's low. That's okay. So, if I was comparing this to Talisker 10, and we just, you know, it's a low bottle too, but that's okay. It is, woo! The nose on the special release is a little more smoky. The smoke is a little more apparent. On the 10, it's softer, more vanilla, and more on the fruit. In the palate, we already know that one. And the palate, also softer and sweeter. This is more edgy and briny. More heft and weight. I'll bet that's a higher proof. Does it say come on. This is gaff tape. This is not... Oh, it ripped the name off. Let's hope it didn't rip the... 59.7. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. That's why we're getting so much in that nose and palate that we're not getting on the Talisker 10, which is only 45.8. Still high for a good single malt release. I'm betting. So, really like this, actually, I like it more than I like the Talisker 10. I love the Talisker 10. It's a sweet spot for me, and I have been more and more gravitating to lower proof malts in the last year. I'm just so tired of high proof. My palate's so tired. And so I love this. This is a really great exploration. I'm glad they included it. Full disclosure, I'm not making any money from these videos. I'm not making any marketing money from these videos. I'm not making any money from if you guys buy this calendar, but the Master of Malt guys did send me this calendar for free when they found out that I wanted to do it. So that's what Wizard Academy got out of it, was a free Master of Malt calendar, $200. So let's see what tomorrow holds. And I'm really glad you're here. Cheers.